Hello and welcome to Correspondence Diary. I'm Jeremy Cole. This week we take a closer look at the fast-growing gaming industry in the region. In May, the World Health Organization classified gaming addiction as a mental health disorder. Even though the changes will only kick in 3 years later, that decision has already sent shockwaves throughout the gaming community. And South Korea, which has the world's fourth largest gaming industry by sales, is particularly alarmed.
Internet cafes, an increasingly rare sight in many countries. But not South Korea, one of the world's most wired nations, due to the popularity of gaming.
저희는 이제 게임 자체를 이제 사회 문화 현상의 일종으로 보기 때문에 아동 청소년뿐만 아니라 어른들에 있어서도 이 게임이라는 것은 사회 문화적인 오락거리이기도 하면서 어떻게 보면 우리의 그냥 일상이 되어버린 현상이기.
Last year, more than 10 million people visited internet cafes in Korea, and they spent some 1.7 billion hours playing games in the cafes. And that's up 3.9% from a year earlier. Now, this is an internet cafe, or called a PC방 in Korean, and they're everywhere across South Korea. Now, this place is in Seongnam City, which is not too far away from the capital, Seoul, and it's near a university, and that's why this place is packed with students. Now, they can come here, get food, and play games for 1,000 won, which is less than $1 for 1 hour. This in Korea is the preferred way of gaming. Users decide how long they want to play and pay accordingly before taking their seats. As for food, it's not just chips and soda. These PCbangs are serving food that you can get in restaurants around the country. From kimchi fried rice, jjajangmyeon noodles, to beef rice. And some are now spending up to 14 hours at such places before dragging themselves out of their chairs. But while you can run away from PCbangs, you can't hide away from them. Koreans can't walk more than a few blocks without running into one of the 20,000 PCbangs across the country. And gaming addiction is now a very real threat. It's estimated that South Korea has about 1 million internet-addicted children and teens. Online gaming is said to account for roughly 90% of these internet addiction cases.
저희가 느끼고 있는 체감온도는 훨씬 높아요. 그것은 어머니들하고 대화를 해보면은 한 집 건너가도 내 친척, 내 옆집 다 공유할 수 있는 충분. 그래서 빨리 이걸 등재해서 어떤 식으로든 구축을 해서 막아야 된다. 그 아이들을 구해야 된다.
In May, the World Health Organization classified video game addiction as a mental health disorder. And it's included in the Global Medical Guide in a section together with other disorders like gambling. The change doesn't come into effect till 2022, but some in South Korea's lucrative gaming industry are worried.
전체적으로 10조 원 이내에 큰 피해가 예상이 되고 게임의 문화가 질병 코드화 된다는 것 자체가 어쨌든 가치 훼손 측면에서는 우리가 수치로 설명할 수 없을 정도로 큰 피해 규모가 나타날 것이다 그렇게 예상이 되고 있습니다.
And others are questioning the classification, even though there have been reports in the past of gamers dying after marathon sessions in these cafes.
20대 젊은 친구들이 놀거리가 많이 없는 이 대학가에서 스트레스 해소용으로 라고 생각하고 있거든요. 술 먹고 놀아도 6시간, 7시간 노는 것처럼 이 친구들도 술은 안 먹는 대신 여기서 이제 게임으로 스트레스를 풀고 하는 거기 때문에 제가 봤을 때 질병까지 그거를 분류를 해야 되나.
A survey conducted in May showed that 45% of Koreans above the age of 19 agreed with the WHO ruling, while 36% did not. The others were undecided. Seoul has already formed a committee of government officials, doctors, representatives of civic groups, and industry leaders to investigate how the decision can be implemented. But some parents are taking matters into their own hands. Mother of two, Chung Jin-young, for instance, has been trying to spread the word that excessive use of smartphones and gaming are bad.
스마트폰에 대한 과학 의존 장애에 대해서 알리기 위해 나왔습니다. 사실 저희가 가장 가까운 곳에서 느끼는 사람들이잖아요. 그래서 아이들이 사실은 일상생활이 안 될 정도로 이렇게 핸드폰이나 게임 때문에 힘들어하는 친구들이 한 집 건너 하나씩 있습니다.
She's not alone in this fight against mobile phones and gaming in South Korea. More and more mothers and fathers in South Korea these days realize the damage excessive gaming can do to their children. And so they're very happy that finally an international body like the WHO is calling excessive gaming a disease. They were gathered here one afternoon at the state-run National Center for Mental Health, together with people from various civic groups and doctors included, to learn more about what gaming does to an individual and a society so that they can create more awareness on this topic. Also present at the event was an official from the health ministry.
그걸 통칭해서 스마트폰 중독이라고 하거든요.
I spoke to him after the event and he told me that his ministry is gathering as much information as it can on what this new WHO ruling means for Korea, before sharing it with other ministries, including the Culture and Sports Ministry, which opposes the WHO ruling.
거기에 대해서는 다 알려진 과학적 근거가 있기 때문에 그 부분에 대해서는 대비를 하고 우리가 이제 예방을 하자 하는 이제 그런 차원이고, 게임 산업에 대해서 뭐 부정적인 영향을 미치거나 게임 산업 발전하면 안 된다, 아니면 게임을 이제부터 그 뭐 중독 물질로 분류하거나 그런 부분들이 아니에요.
Not all agree, although many do realize that this is a growing issue in the country. According to the National Center for Youth Internet Addiction Treatment, up to 16% of South Korean teenagers are at risk of developing some kind of gaming addiction.
우울증이라든지 주의력 결핍, 과잉행동 장애라든지 불안장애라든지 아니면 또래와 가족 관계 애착 문제, 이런 문제로 인해서 어떤 결과로 게임에 지나치게 몰입하는 현상이 나타나는 것이지 게임 자체가 중독 현상으로 보지는 좀 않고 있는 입장입니다.
These mothers aren't taking any chances, and they believe it's better to nip the problem in the bud, even if their children end up being ostracized by their friends for not gaming.
저희 아이들은 스마트폰을 가지고 있지 않고요. 컴퓨터 자체의 접속을 제가 항상 관리를 하고 있기 때문에, 그리고 또 아이들이 그 컴퓨터에 그 사용을 하고 있을 때는 컴퓨터가 거실에 있거든요. 그래서 제가 제 관리 안에서 쓰고 있기 때문에.
South Korea is not alone in facing this issue, but being one of the world's most wired nations and with a domestic gaming industry worth billions, it has added challenges. How the government tackles this will determine whether South Korea will end up paying too high a price for its connectivity.
As the debate over WHO's decision to classify gaming addiction as a mental health disorder continues, esports or competitive gaming is making headway in the world of sports. Now, for the first time, esports will be featured as a medal sport at the Southeast Asian Games in November, while in Singapore, it's now possible to make a living by playing video games. That story coming up next. Esports refers to video game competitions played before live audiences and broadcast on the internet. And with global viewership of esports growing rapidly and the prize pool expanding, gaming is no longer just child's play.
Singapore are crowned as champions.
2018 was the year for Team Flash from Singapore, as they won and successfully defended their trophy of the popular football simulation game FIFA Online later that year. In the esports world, winning the EA Champions Cup title is like taking home an Olympic gold medal for traditional sports.
We were a three-man team, and the group stages weren't as hard as we thought. And then quarterfinals was quite close, but we still managed to pull through. Semi-finals was the toughest match, but I had to step up at that point. I was the last man remaining, and I played against all the China players, all of them, and I managed to win all of them.
During the tournament, when we first reached there, we didn't know what to expect or how to approach this game, and it was a new game. We just wanted to take things one step at a time, and the group stage was fairly tough. We secured the qualification to the knockout stage on the very last matchup, and in the semis and the finals, my teammates will just managed to pull through and secured the victory for Singapore and Team Flash. Yeah.
Team Flash was founded in 2017 and started out with a professional FIFA team in Singapore. The team has since expanded. It owns esports teams in Vietnam. For Team Singapore, Joseph, Amran and Fadin, winning a major competition is no mean feat. Just like any other discipline, they have to train hard.
Because I'm currently schooling as well, so I have to juggle both studies and gaming. So during exam periods or what, I'll play maybe like 2 hours a day or 3 hours a day, but during holiday period, then I'll really start to train more, maybe 6 to 8 hours a day. During tournament period, I think it gets more intense, the training.
I'll play regularly, like every day, that kind of thing. I mean, end of the day, I'm a full-time player, so it's only right that I commit hours to it. So I play every day. Whenever I wake up, maybe 5 to 6 hours a day, that kind of thing. And then before tournaments, I will work extra hard.
This is the Team Flash training facility. It was provided by the Singapore Sports Hub under a talent development partnership that aims to provide esports athletes access to the kind of facility that athletes of traditional sports usually enjoy.
The facility that we've been provided here by Sports Hub has actually been a blessing for us. We've been able to work with them and create this special space for us to be able to facilitate, state-of-the-art gear and PCs and PlayStations, and training space for these players to get into the right mindset and have a controlled setting for them to do what they need to do to be successful.
They might be superstars on the international esports arena, but professional gaming in Singapore is still in its infancy, and players are still fighting a battle of perception.
Singapore, I think the community, the families are still really very conservative as compared to countries abroad. So I think it's hard for the general public to accept gaming as a job, that kind of thing, or something that is positive.
Ng Chong Ging, president of the Singapore Esports Association, says this is mostly due to both lack of mainstream acceptance and understanding.
Unlike other places where it's not a big risk to actually put your studies on hold and actually take up the esports full time, for Singapore, you actually have to give up a lot of things. And if you had a choice between you having like perhaps a 10% chance of making a lot of money and a 90% chance of making less money, but you are very sure of getting that, it's clear what you would choose.
Wong Jeng Yi, more commonly known as Nuts in the esports community, will be captaining Team Singapore in this year's SEA Games. His team will duke it out in the popular multiplayer online battle arena game Dota 2. He says as the industry grows, so will the acceptance.
To the older generation, they might think it's like something a waste of time and stuff like this. But to the younger generation, if you are a good enough player, pro player, they actually treat you like a superstar. So you can see the big difference from there. So I think we just need time. Across time, it's going to be better and people are going to accept gaming is actually decent.
The negative perception of gaming was further exacerbated by the World Health Organization's recent diagnosis of gaming addiction as a disorder.
When the World Health Organization came out with this diagnosis, the main aim is to identify individuals who are experiencing difficulties due to gaming. There are many others, of course, who don't experience such difficulties and we game recreationally, as well as some unique individuals who game professionally and they will compete in global competitions. When a person becomes addicted to game, they tend to neglect what goes on in the real world. A person who is at work, who is dwelling a lot into gaming, they also can neglect their workplace performance. So as a result of that, they may lose their jobs as well.
The World Health Organization said that by officially classifying gaming addiction as a disorder, it will raise the awareness among health professionals to the risks, prevention and treatment measures for the condition.
It's not different fundamentally from, for example, addiction to gambling or things of that sort. It is something which requires both work from the parents and also from the people involved. I would say it's serious when it happens, but in Singapore we don't see as many cases of this.
Mr. Ng also added that there are differences between gaming and esports.
Gaming is just playing for leisure, and you do not necessarily want to seek improvement in winning or doing better at a game. Esports, however, similar to sports at a professional level, and actually to any other discipline, such as studies or work, like working in a bank or others, requires discipline and passion for the esport itself. It's possible to play computer games for 8, 20, 24 hours. But if you really want to be training, it's not possible to do that. Because after every game, you need to stop and examine, like, where do you do well, where do you do badly.
Computer gaming peripherals giant Razer has been at the forefront of promoting and expanding esports in the region. Their partnership with the Philippine Southeast Asian Games Organizing Committee has brought a first ever esports medal tournament in the upcoming SEA Games.
We believe there are great talents in Southeast Asia, in Singapore. I have seen so many talents in Singapore that can be brought up through the Federation and our partnership with Razer. So these are the things that we continue to grow. I believe they are here. We need to give them a platform to tell the story. So I believe Singapore has a lot of potential, and I believe that is something that will be very important for Singapore.
Coming up next, we take a look at the esports scene in the Philippines. Stay with us. In the Philippines, esports athletes are granted athletic licenses by the Games and Amusement Board. Now, that's a government-run regulatory body for professional sports in the country. However, the emerging esports industry is still striving to rid itself of the perception from more conservative quarters that it's a mere time and resource-consuming pastime.
Eyes glued to the screen. Fingers in constant motion. A crowd waiting for the next move. Esports is a niche industry, still in the process of gaining mainstream support in the Philippines, a country where many still view playing video games as just a hobby. Tekken 7 athlete Maru C is no stranger to such opinions. His parents used to discourage him from playing the popular fighting game.
Isip nila dito sa ngayon esports, Tekken, I'm wasting money, gambling lang to at wala akong mapapala.
But he says his involvement in esports, and in particular the Tekken community in Manila, is driven by a need to belong.
Nabuboost yung self-confidence ko, and marami akong nakikilala ng mga kaibigan, kaya gusto ko talaga maglaro.
Maru and his teammate Michael John Magbanwa of Bren Esports were former rivals. Tekken players for more than a decade now, they both acknowledge how the sport has shaped their ways of thinking.
As long na nag-enjoy ka, mahal mo yung ginagawa mo. Kasi dadali mo yung experience na yun kahit saan ka mapunta. Manalo ka man, matalo. Basta ang importante lang kasi sa akin, huwag mag-give up. Tsaka work hard. Kasi bandang huli, may earn mo naman yun eh.
A champion competitive Tekken player, Michael, told me that as a full-time esports athlete, he makes as much money as when he worked for a well-known hotel chain. As for me, well, I think I'll stick to my day job. For Maru, though, esports is more than just a hobby. Apart from enabling him to earn money, being part of a professional team has also helped him improve his skills. His family now sees the value in the work he does. Maru says his father even calls him to ask about his games, but none of that would have been possible had he given up along the way.
Sometimes you will win and sometimes you will lose, but it doesn't mean you will just give up.
Sponsors Players and team managers are starting to see the economic potential of esports in the Philippines. March 2019 saw the inaugural season of an esports league called the Nationals. Its first corporate sponsor was a commercial bank looking to promote an online payment solution for those who do not have credit cards. The move was an acknowledgement of the online purchasing power of gamers across the country. The live streaming of the games also provided outsiders a peek into this growing spectator sport. Esports manager and sportscaster Ron Muyot says there is more to esports than meets the eye.
It's a competition of mental fortitude. Skills that you can acquire is, first of all, patience, perseverance, quick decision making.
Ron shared with me that one of the champion players he manages under the Playbook Esports team started playing Tekken to bond with his father, an avid casual gamer. Professional Tekken athlete Andre Alvar says it was his dad who taught him the basics of the game, where he learned the value of patience and attention to detail. He says he looks forward to each new extension of the game. Andre showed me his shelf of trophies, but none of that, he says, compares to the joy of being part of the Tekken community.
And one thing that I like also is the Tekken community, both local and international. Most of the players are actually friendly, professional, and they're good in terms of skills and also in personality.
This is one of a few game lounges in Metro Manila where you'll meet competitive Tekken 7 players. Now, players of the earlier versions of the game used to gather in arcade centers with those coin-operated machines, but Tekken 7 can no longer be played in those machines, and that is the version of the game that is included for the first time in the upcoming 2019 Southeast Asian Games to be hosted by the Philippines. So this lounge in particular serves as one of the practice centers of the Philippines Tekken 7 national team.
Maru, Michael, and Andre are all part of the training pool for the Southeast Asian Games, from which national representatives will be chosen. They have been drawn to Tekken for different reasons: a need to belong, a hobby that turned into a full-time job, a desire to bond with family. But they're all united by a passion for esports, a passion they hope more will understand and support.
And that's Correspondent's Diary for this week. Thanks for watching.